Good morning, everyone. Good evening for those in India. Good morning for those who are here in United States and Europe. We begin the evening session of the Parayan on August the 24th, 2014 on Aptavani 13. And we'll be reading, the authority is, we'll be reading the last chapter of chapter 3, last subheading. There is liability if you become engrossed with it. So Jai Sachidanand, this is the evening session on August the 24th of 2014 on the Parayan of Aptavani 13, and we are going to be reading the last subheading of Aptavani 3, chapter 3, and there is a liability if you become engrossed with it. So and it's just about 4 p.m. in Simandar City, India, 6:30 a.m. on Sunday morning here in United States, and this is a live English voiceover interpretation of what is being said by our Gnani Purush Deepakbhai with reference to the Parayan or the detailed study of Aptavani 3, which is available at dadashri.org/AV small a small v 3.pdf. Um, the chant you are hearing is Dada Bhagwan, Na Asim Jai Jaikar Ho. Infinite glory to the Eternal One within all. As we see our Gnani climbing up the ramp, approaching uh, the current living Tirthankar, Sri Simandar Swami Prabhu, Lord Simandar, I am as pure as you are, I am absolutely pure as you are. Grant me the energies to see that. As I bowed out to you, Namo Arihantanam, and Lord Sri Krishna, the Gnani Purush, who is going to return to this earth and take millions to moksha. And my Lord, I am as pure as you are. Grant me the energy to see that. And the symbolic representation of Lord Shiva, there is no specific human being like Lord Shiva. There is just anyone who becomes The representative for the salvation of the world is called as Shiva, and our Gnani Purush Dadashri, our highest namaskars to you, my Lord, for your magnificent Akram Vignan that we are now and are making full use of and also sharing with the world. And Ma Padmavati Devi, oh dear Goddess, remove all obstacles for all of us on the path of liberation. Uh, and Ma Amba, may we become so natural with reference to our worldly interactions that double A, double B becomes natural for us. Adjustment becomes natural. And to Ma Niruma, who preserved the words of the Gnani Purush in exactness for centuries to come for Akram Vignan, and made and shared the Gnani with the world. As we look at our Gnani, fresh coming and giving darshan to the thousands who have gathered here in Dadanagar Hall, which is a hall just behind Simandar city. And we see so many Mahatmas, and particularly the ones in white in the front are the Aptaputras and the Aptaputris, those who have dedicated their entire life to the cause of Akram Vignan. And I will remove sound as he sits down so that I can give you the more clearer translation. There was a magnificent Samaik at the morning session. In this morning session, at the end of the morning session on Stri Parmanu and Purush Parmanu, the subatomic particles that one makes one a woman in this life, in the current life, and in the future life, and the Purush Parmanu, the male subatomic particles, and the dominance of each one of these, and how this happens life after life, and how in this current life as a Mahatma to become free from it by really understanding the nature of sexuality, and to become free from the severe spiritual blockade of sexuality in file number 1. And this is now already been posted on YouTube, and it is available for those of you who have missed it. Jai Sachidanand. Hello. Jai Sachidanand. I bow to the absolute self that resides within all of you with total sense of devotion and oneness. Jai Sachidanand, the awareness of the eternal is bliss. Did you do the Samaik yesterday? This morning? Good. Yes, it makes a lot of difference when you do it in a collective group, and that is called the energy of the group. If you try to use a single stick, it will bend, but when you use 25 group sticks together, then it will have a tremendous force. Dadashri used to say that when everybody gathers together and does Samaik, then there will be tremendous stillness, and whatever mistakes that are seen, they are all gone. They are all gone when you see them, and you become very free, and your awareness increases. Now let us read further. Let us read further. Please turn on his microphone. Will be a lady this in the evening. A gentleman reading in the morning, a lady in the evening, both of Jai Satchidanand. Page 35. There is how the heading is how can it be understood without a Gnani? Whatever the results of the mind, intellect, chit and ego, thoughts that arise in the mind, this is all in which is seen in the darshan through the intellect, etc. are all Pudgal Bhav. The one that knows the Pudgal Bhav is Atma Bhav. The knowledge, whatever you can see through the five senses, whatever it is seen through the chit, through the conduct, and the speech is open, but behind there is this sense that how well did I speak, etc. And then this is the way I want to have it. They are not listening to me, etc. All of this is Pudgal Bhav. Willfulness is Pudgal Bhav. The Kevad Gnan, absolute knowledge, is just really the lets you see all of this because you believe the Pudgal Bhav to be yours. There is the world in front of you. This is an amazing discovery of Dada, and only when there is such a Gnani that it is possible to really be aware of all of this. Also Pudgal Bhav and Chetan Bhav, and then the one who can separate the two is called the Ved Gnani, or the Gnani of separation. The knowledge of all the scriptures. This is because one does not understand this. He tries to memorize entire scriptures. How can he get rid of this mistake except this Gnani? Except the Gnani who can destroy this mistake. Next heading. There is liability if you become engrossed with it, and we are having buffering issues in this. There is liability if you become engrossed with it. I will continue reading. Anger, pride, deceit, and greed are Pudgal Bhav arising in the non-self. They increase or decrease. The nature of the self is such that it does not increase or decrease. Such a nature, Swabhav, is called a Guru Lagu. Therefore, when anger, pride, deceit, and greed happens, you simply have to see them. Wow, this one increased and this one decreased. So you remain separate from them. Thereafter, you are not liable for them. If you mix with the Pudgal Bhav, then the liability is yours. It means that you endorse them. However, if you do not endorse them and if you do not mix with them, it means that you are free. That is what the Lord says. This keeps buffering. Questioner, how can I be exactly sure whether I mixed or I did not mix with the Pudgal Bhav? Dadashri says, your face spoils, your mind spoils. You will become affected in every way. However, even when you are affected, it is possible to remain separate. However, only you will know this. The moment you mix with Pudgal Bhav, you take a beating and you will immediately realize that you have crossed your boundary. And the mind carries out its dharma, intrinsic role. The intellect carries out its dharma. The ego carries out its dharma. And they are all Pudgal Bhav. They are not the Atma Bhav. To see and know all this Pudgal Bhav is Atma Bhav. Knowing, seeing, and eternal bliss verily is Atma Bhav. Pudgal Bhav are infinite. The whole world is trapped in the Pudgal Bhav only. And let us see what we can do here, because we are keep on getting ourselves in a buffering mode only. So let us see if we can. And if I refresh the screen, perhaps it will have some luck. It is initializing again, and it should come now. So we've just finished reading Aptavani 3, chapter 3. This is the beginning of the evening session on August 24th, 2013. We have lost the signal, so we have no way of knowing what's happening there, but I can hear some song behind, and it says, please wait. I can hear. And so if you don't like somebody, anything, then you become afraid of that person because you do not have the awareness. This is a Pudgal Bhav. This is He is just a pure soul, he is flawless, he is the non-doer. At the subtlest level, there is some kind of an opinion within that makes you see the other person at fault. This is our thermometer, whether you became mixed or not. This is Pudgal Bhav versus. You will not be able to climb 25 steps at one time, but you can do it one by one with reference to anger, pride, deceit, and greed. These are all the Pudgal Bhavs that are arising within him. Even if you take one step in the right direction, you are in the right direction, are you not? Because now, so they are reading the mind carries out its dharma, the intellect carries out its dharma, the ego carries out its dharma. They are all Pudgal Bhav, they are not Atma Bhav. To see and know all this are Pudgal Bhav is Atma Bhav. Knowing, seeing, and eternal bliss verily is Atma Bhav. Pudgal is Bhav are infinite. The whole world is trapped in the Pudgal Bhav only. And man, Buddhicita, Ahankar, anger, pride, deceit, and greed is all Pudgal Bhav, says the. But what hurts you the most and what obstructs the most? Man or pride. Man. These are all Pudgal Bhav. Pride is the worst in amongst all of them. So first we need to separate from it. We should have the internal observation that this is happening to file 1. File 1 is doing it. This is what happened to file 1. File 1's pride was hurt. File 1 was hurt in this manner or this manner, etc. And move forward in that direction. So by taking that in our solution, we will know at what mile we are standing and we can become free from it. And the Gnani is continuously in the Atma Bhav only, and we need to really find out, and we need to be in that goal only. But we want to move in the right direction, in the right path. This is excellent. We have to keep it separate. All Pudgal Bhavs are separate. They are not of ours. And the awakened ones, they belong. Why are they rising? Because there is an underlying reason. Because there is because of the knot of pride within us. Therefore, we feel slighted. We feel disrespected. We need to solve this. We need to dissolve all of this because it is our own kashais that make us see the others at fault, and if we cannot settle these kashais, then the bhavs in the mind, the chit, the ego, intellect, and the effect will be there on the face and in the reactions of the body. And so that is why we have to begin here. And now the next heading is chapter 4, Swasatta, domain of the self, Parasatta, domain of the non-self. How much authority does one have? No man is born in this world who has the independent authority over his bowel movements. When he cannot evacuate his bowels, he will know whether the energy to do so was his or not. When sleep does not come, then he knows that to sleep is not his energy. When he wants to awaken, he cannot, then he'll know this energy too is not mine. Everything that is happening in the world is not in our satta, authority or domain. We do have complete authority, however we do not know this. And the Parasatta, the authority that is not in our domain, we believe to be our domain, Swasatta indeed. God does not have any such authority. This is the internal understanding, Swasatta, Parasatta. You see, Chetan Bhav, Pudgal Bhav, you see. If you understand this, then you will never say, why did this person spoil my things, my life, my accounts? It is because we do not understand, we blame him. And then some people will tell you that you fought with me, and take you to court, etc. But we should know that it is not in his domain at all. There is some other energy that is doing all of this. And it belongs to the non-self only. It is the non-self that is being dragged to court or dragged to do things that one doesn't want to do. This is the Parasatta only, the domain of the non-self. And if as it is experienced, then until the awareness, the doer. The doer is in Parasatta. To believe that he is the doing it is the Parasatta. And that is the fault. That is, nobody is the doer. This is the subtle awareness that one needs to be in, and and as it is all set within, then much of the external stuff that is happening will not bother you. There will be no suffering, no matter what happens externally. And the knower, seer, and internal bliss is Atma Bhav. The one is the blissful self. Is bliss of the self is is the result of that, is it not? And so it is Atma Bhav. Yes, it is actually the bliss of the self is the natural result of seeing and knowing. But otherwise, in the lack of seeing, one is in worries and tensions only, because one enters into Pudgal Bhav. The moment you know and see, then there is associated bliss with it. This is a very fine slice. There is, and when one is the seer, there is a natural bliss. When there is the knowing, the knower bhav, then if he is not mixing up in the and does not become engrossed in it, then there is also bliss. It is important not to become tanmayakar, absorbed, when there is the gnata bhav, the knowing intention, the knowing state. So Atma Bhav means knowing and seeing is the only thing. This is more than enough. This is all there is. And then this is the beginning. In this is beginning, because in all associated kriyas, sangi kriyas, I am asang. In all associated joint activities of the mind, speech and body, I am totally separate. Because the Pudgal is constantly involved in mind, speech and body activities, you see. And you see the speech that is happening, that I am separate. Why is it? Is associated activities. Why am I asang? Because before that I was smeared by it. I was in lepaiman in it. I was totally absorbed in it. So whatever arises, keep it separate and know that it is happening to the non-self complex. And then when all of this gets separated, then only the Atma Bhav remains, which is the state of the knowing and the seeing only, or the seeing and the knowing only. That then only the sanyogs remain, the circumstances remain, the circumstances come and disassociate and then they leave. And then the conduct prevails as the self only. The conduct is the self, is the seer and the knower only. And then once you come into the source, original source of this quality, then new qualities arise. Yes. And the Lepaiman Bhavo Gnata, the knower of the intents that tend to anoint, is the knower only, and he is definitely asang. He is not part of it, is he? The knower is always part. So once you awaken in one aspect of the quality of the self, then all the other qualities gather automatically. Otherwise, you have to kind of apply the separation, is it not? Is it in the initially in Ved means to suffer, then I am nirved. So initially one has to set it, and later on it is natural that I am nirved. I am never the sufferer. I am the eternal non-sufferer. I am beyond pain of any sort. But the nature of the knower and the seer is such that the moment you come into it, all the other qualities automatically are there for you. Once you become the seer and the knower, so then it was automatically prevailing for you. You see, asang, he is asang, he is nirlep, he is avyay, he does not aguru lagu. All of these are naturally there for him, for such a soul, not for him or her. This morning you talked about the vritti, the tendencies. What is the tendency for sexuality? Now, in order to get the external sexual pleasure, the tendencies arise, and then it happens in the self, or what happens? What is vritti the media for the sexual gratification? And again, we just lost the satsang signal. So the question is, what exactly is this tendency of sex towards sexual proclivity and predilection and the tendency that one wants to move in the direction of sexual pleasure? Is it an extension of the self only? Which self? And how is it connected to the S capital self? Now we lost the signal, so let me refresh the screen again and see if we get any success here. And go up there and just refresh the screen, and it is still a lost signal. So when the lost signal is there is nothing much we can do. We can read some more. Until the awareness of one's self happens, everything is useless. It is market material. Okay, so here we are. You see, it's like shadows, the Gnani says, you see, because, when one returns, because it's like the shadow of the self, you see. When you come home, there is no shadow of the self. When you enter outside, when you go outside the home, in the light of the sun, there is a shadow, right? So, it's just the ego has tendencies. Does the self also have tendencies? No. Ego doesn't have the self does not have tendencies. The self does not have any tendencies. It is the tendencies of the ego only. For the ego, there are all of this hunger and tendencies. But it is because the ego arises. It has the desire. What is this? Let me check it out. Let me check it out. But when one moves away from the ego, I'm over, I'm Michael, and comes home, then he is in the state of the full bliss of the self only, and there is no need to really search for any external pleasure. Next question, and on page 5. Okay. Whatever sanyog comes in front of you, that is called a sanyog. That is sanyog, sanyogi bhav, and sanyog. Sanyog is sanyog. That means the circumstances come together. But when sanyogi bhav means there is there. But because it shakes us, therefore we are in the sanyogi bhav. You see, it kind of, then it disturbs you a little bit, because whatever circumstance arises in front of you, that is your sanyogi bhav. That is a discharge effect and result. And so can we say that because he became absorbed in that it becomes a sanyogi bhav? We just need to separate the Pudgal Bhav, and Pudgal Bhavs are all Sanyogi Bhavs, and there is no need to decide. And I am the knower, I is the knower of the Sanyog only, or the circumstance that associated itself, which will dissociate in when the time arises. Now, somebody's got, what has happened? You lost power? Okay, so the power got discharged, says Deepakbhai, and this is the view of the Dadanagar Hall in 6 lanes, 3 on the left, 3 on the right. Until the awareness of oneself happens, everything is useless. It is market material, emptying and filling, give, take, stock and sell. What is the point of keeping egoism about market material? I have this much wealth, I have this, I have that. It is all market material. It is filling and emptying only, is it not? I am very beautiful, I am handsome. What is the value of it? And if one can have an ego about something, it is the Gnani Purush who can, because the authority of this entire universe is in his hands. But he has no egoism at all. Where there is no authority, there is ego, and where there is authority, there is no ego. There, the Gnani Purush is like a child. Authority is attained due to punya. It is the rule of the world that whatever authority one gets, he says, where there is ego, there is no authority, and where there is no authority, there is ego, and where there is authority, there is no ego. You see, he is not the owner of his disciples. He is not the owner of anything in this world, and then he gets the total realm authority of this entire universe, and that is the state of the Gnani Purush. Authority is attained due to punya, but the Gnani is like a child. Authority is attained due to punya. It is the rule of the world that whatever authority one gets, one will be lost if it is misused even in the slightest. The proper use of the authority is called compassion, and abuse of that authority is demonic tendency. What is the authority? What for is the authority? If one attains authority through punya, merit karma. If you are promoted to a managerial position for 5 people working under you, it is only because of your merit karma that you attain the position. Don't people come inquiring, is the principal sahib in? Do they not come asking for the principal? Yes. Dadashri, it is because of merit karma, otherwise no one will even bother about you. You could be working as an ordinary clerk somewhere. You now have to tell Chandabhai, why do you use your authority? Why don't you have a little compassion? Questioner. After receiving your Gnan, this is exactly what I do. This is a very big thing for us to contemplate on and think. And the nature of everyone's ego is that whatever ego level he has attained, he tries to use the authority of that. But if you make the right use of that authority, then it is good. But if you make the wrong use of his, what is upyog? So, right upyog means he tries to help others with it, and and he always looks at the profit aspect of it only. Profit means how is everybody moving in the direction of the least resistance and helpful to others. But otherwise, the slightest arising of the ego what creates doubt and creates control, and wants to exercise his authority as control, wants to have it his way. One becomes willful. This point we will take in this Samaik, that whatever state we are in relative role we are in, are we exercising our role and ego in it? Are we hurting others because of it? We need to find that out. And because we get this nice role in Akram Vignan because of the results of our service and our intention to serve in a previous life, and there is merit karma unfolding. But we should not misuse it. We should not misuse it for our own kashais. We should not feed our own kashais with it. And because on the seat, because the seat you get the authority. You see, so if you are the manager in a hotel, it is your seat, and therefore that is your control over others. You see, but you must not misuse that satta. So the realm arises because of the seat or the location. You are placed as a manager. You are placed as a CEO. You are placed as a director. You are placed as a leader of Akram Vignan in a certain respect, in certain town of the world. You see. And if you are an Apta Kumar, then it should be the Sevarthi should be like this, a coordinator should be like this, etc. Apta Kumar, Sevarthi, the one who wants to serve, and the coordinator is like this. People may respect him, but he should have the constant awareness within that he should have an understanding. So this, understand that about, is there any misuse of the pad or the level or the state that I have received, or is there good use of it? Misuse, good use. The good use is for the benefit of everyone. You see, there should be a constant awareness that am I missing sad upyog, or the right use of the role that has been given to you through the authority. And especially when there is pride in lalach, the greed for pride is such that it the ego and intellect will manipulate you into exercising your full deep control over your authority and exercise your willfulness on others around you, uh, and in your underneath you and in your department, etc. And so you have a certain subtle silent authority as the head of the department. Uh, and everybody is afraid and is contemptuous and also scornful in a silent way towards the head of the department, because there is misuse, subtle misuse of the authority of the state of the self. When you look at a mango tree, the more and more the mangoes ripen, it yields, it comes down and to the point where you can just extend the hand and take the fruit that is ready. In the same way, and the ultimate Vijnana of Dada teaches us that you should tell Chandubhai that why are you so full of inflated ego. Dada. And the result, Dadashri at the end will say, you are the Atma, and and so you are the soul only, and you should be aware of what is happening. These are all the non-self complex, and so he separates you from the one whose authority this is. And so there is relative authority, and also then there is the absolute authority as the self through the knowledge of the self. And nature has placed us in various roles in various way, and that has to be performed. That role has to be performed with sincerity. Somebody asking a question. If you misuse your authority, abuse your authority, then you are liable. There is some liability. But when you do good use of your state, then it will be helpful to others. Satta, that means the authority. The king has authority over his kingdom, and so he is constantly involved that not a single human being in my kingdom should be unhappy. And you see, I don't care about my own luxurious life. I'm more worried about every citizen in my kingdom, in my country, being free and happy. And that right use of, and the ultimate thing is of course karuna, which is compassion. That is the final level. Right now at the relative level we have to have the right intention, but ultimately you have to come, ultimately a lot of people are yearning and pining and desiring this authority. Yes, because the relative, because in the relative, some people, once you get the authority, some other people get jealous of you, they are envious of you, they want to move you out, and others are there to try to preserve your role, you see. So in the relative there will always be the shakiness. And so therefore, if you are in the authority, you have compassion for the one who is trying to topple you, trying to get you out. You see, it is on the merit basis, of merit karma, that I have received this role, but I have no other intention in this. I do not want to feed any kashais within me. This is and I will use the authority that has been given to me with perfect sincerity and for the benefit of others. The heading is, but all that is the authority of the non-self. Dadashri, what is your authority? Nothing is the answer. Why is that? You don't even know who you are. You believe Chandubhai, the body, to be who I am, and therefore that is the authority of the non-self. What is yours in all of this? You are under the authority of some other entity. And you are like a top. Dada using the analogy of a spinning top. Human karmically bound in the past life, which is now unwinding. Everything is under the authority of Vyavasthit, scientific circumstantial evidences. When you eat, drink, go anywhere, it is all under the authority of some other entity. Anger, pride, deceit and greed that happen are all under some other authority or parsata. You have not seen what you are not aware of your authority. One can become the absolute self if one becomes aware, even for a second, of his own authority domain. I do not even have the energy even to talk the speech. Anger, pride, deceit and greed that happen are all under some other authority. You have not seen and you are not even aware of your authority. One can become, I do not even have the energy to even talk. The speech that comes out is a taped record, and when you talk, it is your taped record too. The only difference is that you have the egoism of talking, whereas I do not. Why do you have worries and anxieties? If you were to sit in your own place as the self, there would not be any upadhi, non-self-induced problems. Would you not be scared if you were sitting in someone else's home? Right now you are sitting in a place that is not yours, Y capital. You have become the lord of a place that is not yours, per kshetra, and the authority you is not yours either. Swakshetra is the self and Parakshetra is this body. I am Uve is Parakshetra. I am a woman, I am a man, that is all Parakshetra. And the external location, you see. And Swakshetra means the original location, the main location is I am the pure soul. And doing it, somebody else is doing, but you say I am doing it, and therefore you have just entered into Parsatta, the authority and the domain of the Parsatta. No overseer is the Swasatta, and everything else is Parsatta, and then you become the lord of the of the non-self. You become the lord of the non-self, and that is totally wrong. And therefore you say, I, this wife is mine, this children are mine, this home is mine, and you see, this, all of this, then it complicates even further, and then because you became the lord of the non-self complex, then there is a lot of suffering, and then you become the because you become the sufferer, because you become the owner of the non-self, you become the sufferer of the non-self, and there's so then I am Uve, I am the doer, I am the sufferer, and I am the owner of the non-self, and this is mine, and I am the sufferer. And so all of these four, I am the doer. But now we have been placed in the Swakshetra, the self. Vyavasthit is the doer, and it is under the influence of scientific circumstantial evidences. We call it file only, and therefore the ego is the sufferer of that which is in the file only. So now the more you remain in the five agnas, you will become free from all of these four states. That is, I am this is happening to me, I am doing it, and I am suffering this, you see. And so this is me and mine, I and me and mine, and I am the sufferer. All of these break and collapse completely the moment you come into Swa Satta. You do not know your Swa, your domain is your authority. Knowing the authority of the non-self is the authority of the self. Why can a man not be the owner of wealth by remaining in the domain of the self? Which wealth? Why is he not the owner of Riddhi, material wealth, Siddhi, intellectual achievements and status? Dadashri says the self can never be an owner of all that. All that is temporary. These things will manifest when it is time for them to do so. But that is not an inherent nature of Gnan G capital. There's the question is being asked, and Dadashri will ask him. Dada will never say, why do you need to answer? He will just say, this is all temporary. Dadashri's answer is always with reference to the line of demarcation between the self and the non-self only. And see, so he has given such a magnificent answer from Dada here. The self, there is always Gnan only. The eternal one can never be the owner of that which is temporary, changing and destructible, you see. And the moment he tries to become the owner of that which is temporary, and then he becomes destructible, you see. But when by becoming the indestructible, the eternal, then you became the owner of the eternal. And so by entering into the Vinashi and the destructible, you become the doer, and you become the sufferer, and you become whereas you are meant to be just the knower of the one who has entered into suffering. That is all. And so we need to study this in exactness. That what is Dada trying to say about Riddhi's material wealth, Siddhi's intellectual achievements? But these are all part of the changing temporary transient situations of the non-self complex, file 1, Chandubai, Uva, etc. Now, one becomes the master of the circumstances in the Sthita Prajna state, steady state in the light of the self. Does he not? As long he is the owner of anything, he cannot attain Sthita Prajna state, steady state in the light of the self in this context. Ownership has to leave in order to become Sthita Prajna, which is a lower level of Prajna. But at the same time, as soon as there is Sthita Prajna means I am doing it, there is a little doubt in it, you see. But there is ignorance still prevailing, but he has not known the Atma, the self, in totality yet. Questioner, but at the same time, should not one remain a slave either, should he? He, the self, is not a slave at all. Chandubhai, the non self, is the slave. How can you be the slave? Everyone has a body. Who has a body is a slave for sure. They are all slaves to Vyavasit. You, the Shuddhatma, are not a slave at all. This is very much, you see, this is a very major self. He says, you could say, I don't have any owner above me, but no, you are the slave of Vyavasthit only, are you not? Every human being is a slave of Vyavasthit. But if you are a Shuddhatma, you are not a slave at all because you are beyond Vyavasthit. We are beyond scientific circumstantial evidences. This is very major sentence from the experience of the Dadashri. If this, and once it fits, then you will have the result of Lagutampad, you will have Laguta, you will become very humble and in worldly life. Questioner, why does God not take all this under his authority and control? Dadashri says, Ishwar, there is nothing that Ishwar can do to take it up. Why does the heart not remain under control? Nothing needs to be controlled and nothing can remain under control. It is Parsata, authority of something else. All you have to do is constantly know that this part remains in control and this part does not. The one that knows is the self. Dadashri, even an ignorant one asks the question, Dada answers, gives a very beautiful. So Dada answers as if the person is a pure soul only, even though he has not received the Gnan Vidhi. And he and you, Dada is giving us that awareness that come into the state of the self. Wow, what a Gnani calls Swasata. This is amazing. We read this in the Charanvidhi every day. This is very basic. The Gnan sentence, second by second, let me remain in Swasata, domain of the self, and continuously enjoy the domain of the self only. You have given us the Swasata, so how can I use that? And it is also said, may I never venture out in Parsata, the domain of the self. Where can I do not have any authority? How do I not venture out in Parsata? Can you please explain? Every Kriya, activity through mind, speech, and body is Parsata. No, not only every Kriya, but the knowledge of that Kriya is also Parsata. The Gnan is a Kriya, does not involve in any activity of the mind, speech, and body. The Gnan is the knower and the seer, Gnata Drashta, and is in eternal bliss. And the Gnan that knows the Gnan of all activity, that is our Satta. That verily is the Shuddhatma. Okay. You are aware, when you are doing some cooking, you are aware that this is how you cooked it, this is how you cooked it, this is how you cooked it. That is all per satta. That is, the cook is cooking through the ego, and then and he knows how to cook, and that is intellectual knowledge, and all of that activity of the cooking is known, is all per satta of the non-self, and the knower is the knower. He knows the activity of the Gnan of the activity, and he also knows the ego also through by remaining as the knower and the seer only. And that is the Shuddhatma state, you see. And in through that state you have to remain the knower seer. How should a sansari, one living in a worldly life, make use of the Swasata? And Dadashri says, just remain the knower seer and in eternal bliss. The mind, body, and speech are effective by nature. Cold and heat bring effects. When the eyes see something bad, disgust arises. When the ears happen to hear something bad, effect happens within. You, the self, simply have to know all of these effects. The effects are going to belong to the foreign department, the non-self, and yours is the home department, the self. Is Swasata the highest? And Dadashri says that, you say so. Yes. When the ear hears something wrong, then you see he feels bad. So he gets involved in the yes, over. Can I call you? Skype is offline. Oh, stream is offline. Okay, thank you. I will try it again. Bye. And so we have lost our streaming, so we will continue. Thank you, Uva, and so we continue now streaming. I have opened up the energy of your absolute self for your new heading. That is the complete authority. How can you call it a domain and authority when someone can take it away from you or remove you from it? And you see, not even the absolute self, Paramatma, can bother you in your Swasatta, domain of the self. At the moment, the wealth that you possess, not even the Paramatma, the Lord, has it. How is that? The Paramatma does not have the record or the speech. He does not have any mechanical energy of speaking, talking, etc. Therefore, he cannot do anything for the salvation of others. Whereas you can help towards the salvation of others along with your Swasatta. So, understand this point. Nothing is to be done at all. Whatever there is, wherever there is any doing, one dies, and wherever there is understanding, seeing, one is liberated or mukta. If someone insults you very badly, then that authority, satta of the other should not overpower you. Not only an insult, but even if someone were to cut off your nose, extreme public slander, do not accept the authority of the other. Do not let it affect you. He is not the doer of the slander, he is not the doer of the insult, he is the pure soul. It is all parsatta and is the non self effect of file 1 and that other file that is happening only. And both of them, both he and I are pure souls only. That is, and with that understanding, one can remain mukta, liberated. But if one gets drawn in parsatta through ignorance, then he will be enter into suffering. You see, this is what we want to remain in the swasatta only, in the pure soul. So we want to remain in five agnas, double A, double B only, and so sooner or later we need to remain in this awareness only. And Deepakbhai, and the activity and any kind of knowledge of activity, etc., it's all parsatta only, or the non-self. And to know all that is the swasatta only. And having known that, and so supposing we try to change the relative gnan, or do we try to change it? No. It is, you see, the movie has already been filmed and it is playing. You just have to see the role in the drama only. And that which is discharging, it should not be interfered with. And the intellect, the lawyer is actually pleading in the court, and he is the lawyer, and his knowledge, and you see, and you and he, so so the knower is already aware of the lawyer who is pleading in the court and his knowledge and everything. So whatever, how he is pleading in court and how he is being doing this, and again, so the ego, intellect, and the activity. Ego, I am the lawyer. The intellect is deciding what to speak, what not to speak, and the activity of all that. That is all. You see, and so the ego is saying that today I misspoke in the court. I should have said this, but you see, when he tries to correct it, but it is at the level of the ego. However, the knower's here state, you are just the pure knower. I am the pure soul. I am aware of this lawyer who pleaded today in court, and so therefore the eater is eating, and I, the non-eater, is simply the knower of the one who is eating the food. I, as the pure soul, am simply the knower of the one who is doing, and this is exactly this in every aspect of the sansari. The businessman is trading, and I, the non-trader, am simply the knower of it. You see, the jogger is running, and I, the non-jogger, is simply seeing him jog in the park. And so, with the exception of the pure self experience, I do not want any non-self things in it. Let me remain in the domain of the non-self only. Let me remain in the domain of the self only, and never enter the domain of the self, non-self at all. You see this amazing sentence in the Charan Vidhi of the Gnan Vidhi that we just read. Having attained the self, what now? Whatever Shuddha Upyog, being the self, seeing the relative as pure, remains, that much Saraswata authority of self will arise. You see, now we have the full conviction, we have 100%, but we have to apply pure Upyog, Shuddha Upyog, and then the awareness will increase, you see. And when the complete Swasata arises, one becomes a god. The Pudgal is in Parsatta, and the self too is verily in Parsatta, and until the self is realized. When a Gnani is met, and the self comes under Swasatta, domain of the self, the dominant influence of the Pudgal becomes weaker and almost dead. And as the Purusharth progresses, the self remaining the five agnas of the Gnani Purush increases, the Pudgal becomes weaker, remaining as the self. If you do Pratikramana for 1 hour, you will experience Swasatta. So, as long as you have not received the knowledge of the self, after attaining the knowledge of the self, we also get one more knowledge after we gain the knowledge of the self, that the knowledge of Vyavasthit. Vyavasthit is the doer and therefore dual knowledge. Anger, greed, deceit, pride is also in Prasatta, you see. So, when you remain the knower and the seer, will anger, deceit, greed and pride decrease? It is because of ignorance they have arisen. Anger, pride, deceit and greed have arisen in ignorance, and by remaining the knower of them, they will fall away, you see. Because one's own Atma Bhav became spoiled, that I am Uve, I am Katya, I am Nada, I am Marian, that all of this is happening, and that is why Vibhav arose, and therefore, so now we have to enter into Tap, and then therefore we say that whatever I gave has come back, and therefore I need to remain in this self-penance mode, internal penance mode, and then move towards the experience of the self. You see, if a Mahatma, we have become free from conviction, but however, but you see, but because you are only just have the conviction that I am pure soul, but you are not employing increasing awareness of the five agnas, you see this, the kashais will disturb you, but as your purusharth of the progress of the self increases to the five agnas, then with that the anger, greed, deceit and pride will settle down, you see. Okay, anger, greed, deceit and pride make you miss pride. Pride is such that you will immediately see somebody at fault, and therefore you see somebody at fault and you miss the Agnya of Vyavasthit. The ego is such that it will not let the relative and the real separate, you see. And so the Agnas the Agnas are missed because of anger, pride, deceit and greed, you see. Moh is such that deceit is such that it will make you uve instantly, you see. And so what about the state of King Janak, that no, even despite having the entire kingdom, he was absolutely separate from within, and that is also the account of Akram also. But Janak met a phenomenal Gnani called Ashtavakra, by the way, added by Shuddha, and you see, but at that time the Kramik was prevailing, but now for us Akram is prevailing, you see. So Janak Raja was absolutely free despite enjoying his kingdom and all the queens around him, and then he attained moksha. You see, then sometimes the confusion is that I have so many kashais within me, why should I remain the knower seer? You see, the nature of anger, greed, deceit and pride is that it will begin and it will end. But with the 15 degrees awareness, you will be aware. But when you have a 300-degree force of the unfolding karma, you will not have the awareness. But as your awareness increases through the five agnas, you will be able to remain separate from it, and will be able to see anger as separate, pride as separate, deceit as separate, and greed as separate and not belonging to you. And of course, when it happens, there is some repentance inside, and so you return from this, having been swept underneath the force of the unfolding karma, into your pure, pristine, Shuddha state of the Vishuddhatma Bhagwan. Yes, and so it will remain till the end. And as the karma arises, you see, when the karma is unfolding, it is such that it makes you tanmayakar. And then when it is over, then again you become aware that it was wrong, and therefore actually the one who is aware of it is truly separate from it, but it is just seems as if he has become absorbed in the karma that is unfolding. He's really not getting absorbed in the karma unfolding after the Gnan Vidhi. Next. Next question. I wanted to ask about the Satta, the realm, the authority. I have had the experience that when I get the authority, I also become crazy, you see. But then I also want to know that I don't want to hurt anyone. But even then, but the moment we get that position, there is some degree of arrogance of the ego that happens because this is the hunger of pride, the hunger of a seat, hunger of a role, hunger of acquisition of a director or doing this. You see, this is it's existed for so many previous lifetimes, but now we know that this is how it is. But the main thing it is the ego is very hungry and it is hungry for pride, and when it gets any position, it is not able to let go of it. It does, and the critical thing is that we do not becoming aware of the hungry ego for pride. You see, and then when he is able to do something good, then he says, I'm good, I'm really able to do. But really, if Uwe is able to do something good for Akram Vignan Germany, it is because of merit karma of Uwe that are unfolding in a previous, not because of the ability. The ability is expressing because of the merit karma effect only. And when the sin karma effects unfold, then despite having a lot of ability, nothing will happen. So now let us improve the one within, that I whatever I do, I have to do it with humility and sincerity, total humility. Lagutam bhav, you see, is lower than the lowest for spiritual colleague, you see. But you too, Dada, you have so much satta and realm, but what is your understanding in this? But when we feel, when we are in this hall, everything appears very good. But when you enter into the practical life, in the daily life, then of course. But you see, the whole treasury belongs to Gnani Purush Dadashri and the Dada Bhagwan. But if I say this is mine, then of course I am in error, am I not? I am just opening up his treasury and giving it to you. The treasury, the Fort Knox belongs to him. And here I am sitting, and because all of you need it, and Dada had the ichha, the desire for Jagat Kalyan, and that is now unfolding, and I am just the spoon feeder. I am picking up the spoon and I am taking it from the treasury and giving it to you, and I too am taking the same food, am I not? And so therefore I give it to you in a way, therefore you would not have any disease. But I do not have anything of mine, I have bliss also, and that bliss within is my own profit. The bliss within is my own profit. This is not in short, this is not our ability. This is the result of grace. This is the fruit of grace of our Gnani. Supposing somebody has given money for you to spend money, so your dad has given you an expensive car to drive. You're driving the car. Is it your car? No. You see, no. So in other words, that is the way it is. Because here also you have to see that it is your father's car, not your car. In the same way, this is our father's knowledge, the knowledge of our Gnani Purush Dadashri, that is all being useful. You see, and how are you saying it? He says the ego is blind, but you see, but in the egoless state there is the ability to see, and that is how Deepak is able to see, you see. And so the ego can see only that which is very close, but if you really want to understand the entire lifetime, then you have to understand the science only, this Vignan only. We want to, you see, what is the point in having the profit for only one day? You should have the eternal profit of the self only, of the entire life, you see. When somebody puts you down or insults you, then you should understand that it is your own that you have created, and you have created your own little circle around you that tries to pep up your ego. You do not need to create little circles around you to pop up and prop up and pep up your ego. Prop and pep up your ego. These are all. And ego, when it hurts anyone, you really need to find out This ego, the same person will have to be won over with love. You will have to become Prem Swarup, the embodiment of love. How are you going to continue like this by hurting others through the ego, you see, or to take advantage of him, etc., or her? Now all of those silly nonsense should go away, you see, and you should attain your goal to be the embodiment of love. And so it begins with through mind, speech, and body. Let not a single being be hurt. And then second part is that I should not be hurt, that I should not be hurt by the reactions of anyone else, you see, and do pratikraman for it, you see. And in Akram Vignan, you have become free from file 1. You can remember what file 1 is and where file 1 is lost in what kashai, and you need to and when you are saying when you're saying I fully agree, there is full signature, but later it kind of saying no, then again, when somebody is returning from the 500-mile post, somebody is returning from a 50-mile post, that is all, but everybody is returning home, coming home only. And our this original signature that I am the Shuddhatma only, I am the pure soul, I need to increase this awareness of the pure soul everywhere, application of it through the 5 agnas, and a day will come that it will happen so speedily that the 19 years work will be done in 2 years, you see. So it will happen for all of you. Remaining in the self, if you do pratikram for 1 hour, you will experience Swasatta. And Deepakbhai is taking a break now, I believe. I don't know for sure. Let's see now. There's one more question from Pragnya, Aptaputri. You just said that, you see, when it is Dada's treasury and Dada's food that I'm giving you, I clear it and give it to you. But there is, yes, I am not there. I completely move away. I am not the doer. I have never any sense that I am doing it. If I believe that I did it, then it becomes poisonous. And then there is the interference. But I am not the doer in it. When I give you and open up the treasury of Dada for you and clean it and give it to you, this is a big responsibility. And you, Aptaputras and Aptaputri, have the same responsibility that Dada gave it to me in 1977, and that he says you got. I had tremendous awareness, but he says do not say a word even. Then by 87 he says call Deepak from 77. But in the 77 to 87, I was in my own Purusharth only, progress of the self. I did not have any desire to do satsang or to talk. You see, that was I was in the Purusharth of looking at my own mistakes only, says Deepakbhai. And then in 1974, Niruma, Dada in 74, 75, he gave that, you do the vidhi, but then he felt, and then he stopped her doing the vidhis. And then again, then he gave the siddhi in 87 to continue to do satsang. But he told Niruma that who will guarantee Deepak? Niruma says, I'll take his guarantee of Deepak. And then he, because she was my guarantor, he did my vidhi, because the point is that all of these open kashais and sexuality and hurt to the others, as long as it exists, Dada says no to talk about Akram Vignan to anyone else, because as long as you have kashais or sexuality, it is a wrong thing to really enter into any kind of sharing Akram Vignan with others in a real manner, you see, because you have your own fever, you see, and you see, so at the same time, so therefore we take a temporary license from the Gnani and we talk to other people about it, and then we come back to our own sadhana, our own spiritual progress, so that we too also can become absolutely free from our vishay and our kashai, our sexuality and our anger, pride, deceit and greed. So this is a temporary license that is being given, because if we stop it completely, then people will not receive it all over the India. This is where the Aptaputras and Aptaputris are going. Whereas, however, but it was also also Dada's had the bhavana that 2 brothers and 2 sisters go as brahmacharis, then they will be able to support the work of Jagat Kalyan, you see, and they will be helpful to the world. But Niruma lost her gross body, and we made the interim adjustment, and then we have given you a temporary license, you Aptaputras and Aptaputris, select ones, but you have to clear your own junk, and that is exactly what I'm doing. And as soon as I go home, go from here, I will be doing my own Swadhyaya, inner self-study on this, because this is a very big responsibility. And because Utsutra Parupna, if you use the slightest wrong word, you can take a whole bird. And Dada has said that if Deepak goes the wrong way, then my own moksha will be spoiled, says Dadashri. And therefore, you see, if Deepak goes the wrong way, you see, therefore Deepak cannot go the wrong way. These are all tremendous liabilities. But this liability, but without taking on the liability, there is no go. So one has to do it there. And therefore, you see, so we have to proceed further. Why? As we also clear our own junk, you know, supposing you say the wrong things, or the slightest wrong word comes out, or if somebody, when you are talking about Akram Vignan to others, you should not be hurting anyone to the slightest extent, and that is very, very critical. And so the nature has brought us to this level. So now we have asked for to this level, so that please purify me, so that I can become the pure one for the Jagat Kalyan of the world, so that I will totally surrender this mind. A big amount remains for you, and mine was also very uncooked, but Niruma got it very fast. And yes, and Dada was always wondering, who shall I give this vidhi to 60,000 people? And there was a lot of activity between Niruma and Dada ultimately, and it was all adjusted. But now we are all blocked. And then the people of the world are absolutely unaware, they are absolutely unconscious, unaware of the self. See? And so that, yes, so we just need to make them sit in this train of moksha, but we should not forget to take our own medicines of we should become absolute knowers and seers of anger, pride, deceit, and pride. But we should also there are two types of discharge. There is it is and so in discharge there are two types of discharge. One is as form opinions and beliefs, and then secondly it is in the form of parmanus on subatomic particles. First, we should have the purusharth of becoming free from opinions and 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 uh, and because of the opinions, and there is the conduct, and so we need to become aware because of the wrong opinions. And then there is a second, then there is the subatomic particles. That is the thing, you see. So people are saying, when you see people are saying Aptaputras and Aptaputris, they are such very beautiful Aptaputras and Aptaputris. Yes, there are 20 to 25 of them now trained, or are in training, not fully trained yet. But you see, they have reverence for all of you, and you need to be right to receive that. Uh, uh, But 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 you are enjoying so much energy of the independent self only. Then all of this other satta is market material. Your own state is so magnificent, Deepakbhai, and you are in your own realm of the self, of the state, self state, and you are in your own nature and your own natural bliss state, that you are also enjoying so much that you are not at all concerned about all the physical amenities that you are being served with. And where I understand that I have this magnificent state of the self, and that is why I'm not interested on all the first class service that I'm getting from Mahatmas, etc. You see, I am not at all concerned about it. I cannot say that I have attained it. I am moving. My Purusharth, progressive self, is in that direction, says Deepakbhai. And that is magnificent. That is the infinite bliss of the emperor of the world. Is that bliss is there within you only, and only when you devalue the relative, that the true value of the self will arise within you. But if you place any value on kashais, then of course you will be tilted and sucked up on the other side. Um, and why don't your experience says the same thing. When you knew that I do not want to have I like it sweet, but I do not want, but I do not, for the last 3 years you do not want to spoil your mind towards anyone, and that is your experience, is it not? Why don't you tell us your experience? He's asking Dimple. And now Dimple is sharing his experience. This is the stepping. It is possible to rise through the steps by being so close to the Gnani. Dimple Bhai is very close to the Gnani, so he is rising higher. And so he says, why don't you? It says, we also in the first level we say that there is Thurtam and there is Thod. You say somebody Thurtam means if somebody touches your car, new car, you get upset. But somebody touches your body, then you get obsessed. But it is by returning you are able to see all of that, is it not? And Dimple did not go into the experience of the self, but he says, then so one needs to be very aware. So that is why we have arranged it so that the brothers and sisters can be closer to the, and if, because you see the manager, and says because the manager has got a major responsibility, and you cannot make any final signature on any work that you have been assigned, you see. And we are also increasing your responsibilities, and also if whatever, and the aim of this shibir is also that we want you to ask these questions, so that you see this is all happening, and we are not all going to be shaped in one day only. Slowly we are all getting shaped to the right way according to the bhavna of Jagat Kalyan of Dada through the Aptaputras and Aptaputris also, you see, and apart from the Gnani. Now let us take a break now. So there is a break now, and so we will take a break and save this satsangs. Thank you, Jai Sachidanand. Thank you for informing me that it had gone off air on Ustream over. So I will remind myself to keep the Skype always on. Thank you. Jai Sachidanand Vishuddhatma Bhagwan. Okay. Now, so the blessings of Niruma and the Ashirvad of Pujya Shri. So the various activities of young Mahatmas and older Mahatmas. G and C, Gnani ni Chayama, under the shade of the Gnani.